welcome to the regular meeting of the Recreation and Parks Commission. We have roll call, please.
Yes. Commissioner Stolnak?
Present.
Commissioner Lubes?
Present.
Commissioner Cavagnolo is absent. Vice Chair Watson?
Present.
Chair Moda?
I am here. Thank you. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. And with that, we'll move to public communications related to, it says city business only, commission business only, 5-minute limit. Anyone, please step up, state your name.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here after a crazy time. But my name is Barbara Boland. I live at 637 Whiting Street here in El Segundo. And I'm one of the, we've just formed our not-for-profit, El Segundo Blue Butterfly Conservancy. So I just wanted to give you good news. I just want to do an update because we've been here several times over the past year. And for getting ready for 2025, wanted to give you an update of what we did last year. It was a really good year for us. We got a lot done, and now we have, we've made a lot of progress. We still have 2 locations. Thank you to the Parks Department, Park and Recs Department, for allowing us and helping us out with every time we've done anything. Really amazing. And first of all, for allowing us to plant at Library Park, first 2 oval pieces of land about this big each, about 15 to 20 plants each, all for the El Segundo Blue Butterfly. And then the big one is along Hillside, is what we're calling the Hillside along Imperial Avenue between Hillcrest and Loma Vista, and we're hoping to continue to go east and also west eventually when we get the next round of hopeful funding. So we have both of those. Our Hillcrest site, I'm calling the Hillside site. We've had over 150 El Segundo volunteers from all the every part of our community, from beginning with Chevron to Parks comes every time to help. We've had over 50 truckloads of weeding and materials sent. The guys are fabulous. Every time they come, they're so amazing. Everybody loves working with Parks Department. The volunteers were from every place, from the churches, the scouts, the schools. We have 3, right now we have 4 high school interns, 3 seniors, 1 junior, who next year will come back and help. We're hoping to do a presentation, maybe for the city council, showing they've been learning mapping from the El Segundo Blue Butterfly Coalition, which is the whole South Bay. So we're really, they're not just there for weeding, they're learning, they're educating, they're learning a lot of skills. We have 2 Eagle Scouts now beginning projects. We have 100 pairs of gloves donated by West Basin. Over 500 native plants were planted. And we're again going to do our educational tours in July when the butterflies are out. We're hoping this year to be able to see some butterflies. It'll be the 2nd year the plants are in. Usually it takes 3 years for them to find it. But we're hoping this year we'll see some around that location. We're seeing people are reporting more and more on Facebook. That's our modus of communication so far. And then the El Segundo Public Library, in working with Julie Todd, she now has a stand dedicated to plants, native planting and drought-resisting plants for our area, right next to where the new books are. And also, we've been collecting seeds, and she's starting a seed library there, which every time we go, we fill as much as we can, and they're gone the next time we go. So thank you again for having us, and I hope that with the new Park and Recs moving towards towards renovating the parks, that the park, we will also be able to put some process or progress or help towards putting in a pollinator garden there. We have plenty of knowledge, and I'm happy to talk to whoever. And so thank you so much, and have a good year, everybody. Let's go.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, public communication. Any others? Seeing none, we'll close public communications.
Any comments from you? Okay. Consent, regular meeting minutes from December 18th, 2024. Anyone?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. Okay, special presentation, Department Strategic Plan presentation. This is a receive and file.
Yes. Good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the Commission. Tonight, I'm very pleased to have our Senior Library Manager, Christina Cora Beckman, here to share a little bit about a very exciting and important project that we initiated this year in Recreation Parks and Library.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about this because it's something that we've all, for those of us that have been here the last 5 years, it's been an interesting time being in rec park and libraries. So you can start. Is that gonna work?
You may have to do it.
Thank you. There's not many slides. So kind of why we wanted to do this strategic planning initiative is we've gone through so many changes in the last 5 years. 2 mergers. First, we were merged with community together with with Recreation, and then Parks was broken off, and then Parks came back to us, multiple name changes, multiple directors, not to mention COVID, which was a really interesting time to work in rec park and libraries, with multiple directions coming back every day for over a year. So due to those changes, we are very different as a department and individual divisions today than we were 5 years ago, or what was the new standard. And we wanted to have the time and opportunity to figure out who we are today and how we're going to move forward together. So, and try and be unified top down, but also allow for what different divisions have their, what makes sense for them to do in terms of goals. So, so kind of with that, we, having that framework and again, having individual goals for the coming years. Next slide, please. So kind of how we came about this process is through various meetings and discussions. We said that we wanted to try and do this, and then Ally requested and secured the funding from council for this fiscal year. And then a planning team that was part of each division. So it was Randy, myself, Rachel, Joe, and Joseph met to find a facilitator and then plan the retreats where we did the work. So they did a great job, and I really appreciate all the help that they lended to us. So we did select Marie Knight. She has an extensive background in community services, recreation, as well as the director and facilitator of many, many cities. So we were really happy to have her. She was a great asset during the process. So the full RPL team did 2 half-day retreats. We actually did them at the Skybox over in Aquatics, which Joe helped facilitate, and it was a really beautiful space. So really nice for us to get out of our individual offices and spend some time as a team. So we met November 6th and then 20th. And then as a result of those 2 meetings, we came up with an individual vision, mission, and values that will be together our team charter that will kind of move forward and provide a framework that we try to make our decisions with going forward. We also had the individual divisions meet and set plan goals for the next 2 to 3 years. And then the cultural arts also met separately for their own half-day retreat with the, I guess it's CAC now, to create their own vision, mission, and values for the cultural arts plan. Next slide, please. So we wanted to let you guys know kind of what came about as part of that. Oop. Yes, thank you. So this is our new vision statement. So to be the heart of the community, engaging generations, cultivating lifelong learning and memorable experiences in our welcoming places and spaces. So we thought that spoke to all of us, but also kind of helped unify what we do together for the community. So it's kind of like a top-down, right? If anybody's done strategic planning, you start with the vision, and then you go a little bit more broad with mission, and then you do values, and then you kind of just keep getting more broad as you go down. But you try and everything ties together to the vision. So next we have the mission statement. which is to enrich the lives of all with excellence through inclusive and innovative services in clean, safe, and sustainable environments. So getting a bit more specific about how we're going to do that work. Next slide. And then these are our values, and a lot of these, all of these things were come together kind of like as a group thing. So everyone was asked to think about things that, in this case, values that they valued in their work, and then we kind of picked ones that were the most popular amongst the whole team. So they're tentative right now because they're also going to be added as part of our homework. Different descriptors of what those mean. So that way, what does positivity mean to us, right? Because it can mean different things. So these are the 5 values that we're working with and selected as a team. So that's kind of provides the top framework for us. And then other things we wanted to share that were kind of fun about the process that you guys might find interesting are, next slide, please. Prouds. So prouds are kind of like a way for us to look back on the past year and see what things we were proud of. And there was a lot of great stuff and a lot of great work that was highlighted. So these are just some examples of that. Lots of growth in things, lots of new things being instituted, software fields, and then lots of collaboration with, amongst the teams and stuff. So lots of stuff we were excited about. And then on the flip side, next up, they had sorries. So that's things that were maybe missed opportunities or things that we thought we could have room for improvement in the future years. So I chose these 3. There were probably 3 dozen prouds and probably about a dozen sorries, but these 3 were the ones that were multiple people kind of voted for, in other words. So that kind of represents, I think, what are some of the things we could work on or opportunities for improvement for the future. Next, please. One back, please. Thank you. So what happens next is we're finishing up our homework, and then we will send that into our facilitator, Marie, and we'll get a final report back. And then Ali will be sharing pieces of that with various stakeholders in the community, along with RPC, and probably February or maybe March, depending on when we finish that work. And then after that, we'll have quarterly meetings with the full-time staff. That's actually who we met with, but it does flow down with the part-time staff in April, July, October, and January. And then we'll kind of do a recap of how it went the first year and figure out what needs to be addressed in the future. So at those quarterly, then we might need to adjust some things and then kind of tweak whatever and then figure out for the next year what works, what doesn't work, and try and keep going forward. So we really enjoyed getting that time together, and hopefully it'll be a good tool to help us continue to do the work in a thoughtful manner. So, any questions?
Go ahead.
All right, first of all, and this looks really great.
Thanks.
This is near and dear to my heart. I teach this stuff, so.
Oh, nice.
forgive
So
me.
you know.
So in the vision statement, it says live long. Did you mean lifelong? Because you said lifelong when you said it, and I didn't know if
Oh,
it's a
yes.
typo
Yes,
or
lifelong.
if it's a play on words.
You know what? It is a typo. Sorry.
All right.
But that is a really good idea.
That's why I was like, maybe this is something. Okay. Then in the stories, the first 2 seem like mea culpas, like, oh yeah, I wish we had done this, I wish we had, The third one, staffing budgets and limited resources, is that gonna change? Like, is that something you guys did wrong, or not you guys, the department felt like they failed at? Because I feel like those are things that are outside of their control.
I think it's multi-part, and Ali, correct me if we're wrong. So kind of some of the other things that might have tied into this, but more specific examples are, we're not fully staffed, right? We haven't been fully staffed and forever. But that's a revolving door, right? Like, people come and go, especially in our department, more than anything else. So part of that is with us, and there is some the parts of Prouds that the process is great, but some of it is hard. Like, the process that we have to hire people, especially part-timers, is challenging. And so, or it's also, are there enough lifeguards to staff what we need? It's just sometimes they are out of our control, but it's also just acknowledging that their budgets may get approved by somebody else, but it's also, do we know what we need? Do we know how to ask for what we need and make that case for it too? So there's some work on our part, but there is absolutely outside that is not under control, but we do the best we can with what we can control. And then, sometimes it can be, this is what I can do with what we have, and you pick one or the other, right? So, and then
that was my question, like, is this you know, where the staff will take accountability to maybe go find funding or go find new budget? Or is it always gonna be like, we just have what we have because
I think it can be
it's out of our control?
multiple things, right? So sometimes it can be being efficient with, I know one of the goals we were looking at for library as a possibility was, you know, once a year, looking at all the programs, is this sufficient or not? Is this make sense to keep doing, or do we need to, for cost reasons, put our money elsewhere or whatnot? And same with collections and other things. So it's a continual process, right? Or as things get more expensive, do we still keep, like, where do we put our resources to maximize the effect we can have for the community? So I think it's possibly like acknowledging what is, but also knowing it just constantly changes. So you just do the best you can with what you've got. So I think it's partially like situations, but also I think there's always room for improvement for those kind of things. And I think the staff felt that way too, so.
If I can just jump in. So one of the things that, that I've really impressed upon the team is that we need to be really thoughtful about resources and really take a hard look at what is the cost of doing business, what's the return on investment, how many people are we impacting with the funds that we're spending. And so so this is twofold, like you said, right? We need to be able to go to the council and say, this is what we need, but I always tell the staff, I'm not comfortable doing that unless I can really be confident that we're spending our resources wisely and that we're utilizing staff to the fullest extent and in the most efficient way. So part of it is our responsibility and learning to take responsibility for our use of our own resources, and then part of it is advocating for ourselves and for the department for what we need.
Yeah, that's great. I love that because that's much more empowering sort of a perspective. So my only final, it's not so much a question as a comment, that the values look great, but they look very internal focused, meaning I'm not seeing performance or outcome here. And that would be my only concern, that I think what the community would demand of us is that we deliver. And I worry that the culture maybe in the past hasn't been enough geared to delivering what it is that the community needs, you know, and we've had a lot of examples of that this year where I think people have been disappointed, you know, so I think it's just a comment. Like, I wish there was something here about, can we also deliver what we're supposed to do for the community?
Right.
I see it in the mission and the vision, but not in the values.
Good point, yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't know if it falls within this, but is there anything in here addressing staff turnover? Because we have a high staff turnover, and addressing not only why, but how to retain better.
Yes, so I'll answer that. So this strategic plan is really sort of focused on creating the work environment that we want, and then from that work environment, how's that going to translate into accomplishments? So there's nothing in there specifically about retention. However, looking at things like how are we using our resources, how are we creating our culture, how are we empowering staff to do good work, I think those indirectly sort of address that. But as far as a lot of the turnover that we experience, it's related to things that are beyond our control. So it's pay, hours availability, limits on hours that employees can work, and then just simply, you know, people can get jobs making $20 an hour at McDonald's, and you know, that's sometimes more, we're just struggling to compete. So it doesn't address that specifically in the document, but that's also in the city's strategic plan, is to address turnover and employee retention and recruitment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And once the document's completed, we'll bring it back to you. We're still in the draft, and it gets very specific. It breaks down very specific goals, so I think it'll address some of those questions too.
And that is a receive and file.
Yes.
So thank you. There's no unfinished business. We're new business. Employee spotlight, Bailey Myers.
Yes, Honorable Chair and members of the commission, tonight I'll introduce Joe Lormans to share a little bit about this month's recipient of our Employee Spotlight, our Recreation Coordinator, Bailey Myers.
Hi, everybody. I wrote down a couple words to say about Bailey, so I don't forget anything. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read this. There's too much to remember and just speak off of the mind. So wanted to take a moment to recognize Bailey Myers, who has been doing an amazing job as our coordinator in the aquatics department. Bailey has made a huge difference by improving staff scheduling. She plans everything more than a month ahead, which keeps everything running smoothly and takes a lot of stress off of everyone. She also has really stepped up with our swim lesson program, taken on full control, provided great training, and made sure the program is top-notch. On top of that, Bailey has a real eye for detail. She's been making sure our brochure is clear and well-organized, so all of our programs are easy for the community to find and understand. What really stands out, though, is how much Bailey takes on with the staff she oversees. It's made a huge difference for me personally. I've been able to focus on projects because she's handling them so well. Bailey, thank you for everything you do. We are so lucky to have you.
Yes. You want to give this to her?
And then Bailey, if you want to come.
You want to come up and say a
couple
few
of
words? And before you do, I say this every month. This is like my favorite part of the job, definitely my favorite part of the meeting. And every time we bring someone up, I'm like, oh, I really love this person, you know. But Bailey and Joe, as you know, have basically been carrying the aquatic center for a long time, and that's a big job. And the two of them, and especially Bailey, always has a positive attitude, always comes into my office smiling. She comes in prepared. If we have a meeting, she brings all the things that she wants to talk about. She's just a fantastic employee, so I'm really, really excited to recognize her. But yes, Bailey, if you want to say a few words.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. I always feel super supported at work. I get recognition from Joe, and it's awesome to see it here in front of everyone. I've just been with the city for a while, and it's awesome to serve the community I grew up in. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Bailey.
Thank you and
Oh yeah, let's do a photo.
Thank you.
You guys get in there. I guess I do. Come up here. Thank you guys so much. You're good. Bye-bye.
Okay. We are at fourth quarter department update. Who's got that?
Our recreation manager, Linnea Palmer, will provide some highlights over the last quarter.
Great.
Hello, Commissioners. So a lot of this is just pulling from your director reports that you already received, but I did want to highlight some items and some of our events and programs that are new or just exciting in the recreation division. So as you know, we have our quarterly guide that has come out, and Jacqueline and Rachel have just done a great job in updating it. And every quarter we've been meeting, just seeing how we can improve it, and it just gets better and better with time. So I know Julie had some feedback, and so we're going to implement it in the next one. And so if any of you guys see it and look through it and have any feedback, we would love to make constant improvements. But in our fall brochure, we had 78 class offerings. We highlighted events, special programs, renovation updates, library programs, and sports leagues. Social media, Jacqueline also heads. We had 110 new followers, 64 posts. And then we just kicked off our Rec ID renewals for early registration. We had 424 El Segundo IDs and 30 Wise Friend
This is just
IDs.
Kelly's
And
baby.
if Kelly is wondering about online registration, while we have met with vendors for our new software, we have asked about their online
Yes.
renewal process.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
So I could feel that one. I felt the heat there.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So So it is definitely our busiest time of the year for events, aside from probably summer. But we did have our Spooky Story Time and Bubble Mania, were our two top events that we've been partnering with the library to put on about once a month. We had our Halloween Frolic, Joy Around the World, our Jingle Fest tournament, which you'll hear about later, Candy Cane Lane we had a big part in, and then our holiday luncheon that you'll hear about as well. So for youth programming, we had our drama performance, their senior production, James and the Giant Peach. You guys, I think 2 months ago, had a little preview from them. And then also one of our contractors offered our first ever Nutcracker performance. I don't know if it's the first ever, but it was a new addition to the clubhouse that gained a lot of traction. So we had 27 participants, 1 day of performances, 2 performances because the first sold out so quickly. So 191 tickets sold. So there were all ages that performed, and I'm sure it will grow every single year, but it was something new and exciting in the arts in the clubhouse. Our filmmaking instructor held the yearly filmmaking film fest, and then we brought winter camps back, and it was a little odd this year with our holidays being in the middle of the week. So it was only for 6 days. We had 6 to 11-year-olds, 33 participants, and then 3 to 5 years, 38 participants for over the 6 days. So in our senior and transportation program, so we've been doing the monthly day trippers. We went to the Getty Villa, the original Farmers Market and Grove, and then the Natural History Museum. So we had ranging from 8 to 18 participants every month. We did offer the coffee chat, which you guys heard about in November, and then I think we have one coming up maybe next week.
Next Tuesday.
Next
At
Tuesday
1 p.m.
at 1 p.m. at the Joslin Center for our second one. And then at the Joslin Center, the Joslin staff and Rotary Club hosted the annual holiday luncheon, 72 people in person, and then 7 meals delivered, and that was on Christmas Eve. And then for transportation, our Lyft rides, in the 3 months, we had just over 2,000 and just under 1,500 meals delivered. Then just highlighted in the picture was our new chess club that started in October on Wednesdays. So for sports, we had our basketball league that returned in December. So we have 4 divisions, 286 participants, which I think is the most we've ever had. That made up 28 teams. We had a great new addition of the middle school gym, so we're able to practice there and then have games there as well. So it's a beautiful facility, and it's very exciting to have practices indoors and then just more games and have the league spread out and less late nights for our participants. We had the 5th annual Jingle Fest tournament in December, 165 teams, 330 participants. I stopped by, very competitive, lots of excitement. Not only do they have, obviously, pickleball competition, but they do a Jingle Fun, where they did a costume contest in the morning. So they're very festive. It was very funny to see people all dressed up playing pickleball, but it was great. For fall adult leagues, we had pickleball league, 109 teams, 1,308 participants. I don't know how Connie and Rachel do that. Kickball, we had 12 teams, 191 participants. Our Tuesday night team took the all-city championship. Their team was Yes Chef. And then soccer, 9 teams, 108 participants. Championship went to the Elskano Brewing Company. And then, as you guys know, we have our annual maintenance. So Stevenson Field, softball field, and George Brett Field closed in mid-December, as well as Raytheon, I think, closed as well during that time. So for the teens, some additional programming besides just day-to-day. They did an NCAA tournament. They partnered with the library to offer a Switch It Up video game tournament. I think they did, was it Mario Kart was the competition? We had our community workshop that you guys heard about at the Teen Center for the renovation to get their feedback. The staff did an escape room, so on the 25th of October and then the 29th through 31st, they made the back room in there. All kinds of competitions to unlock your group. They participated in some of our events. They did the haunted house at the Halloween Frolic and then the hot cocoa booth at Joy Around the World. I think just at Joy Around the World, they served over 600 cups of hot chocolate. So they've had an active participation in our events and just being front-facing and just gaining excitement and participation amongst the teens. They did a Kahoot trivia day, and then gingerbread house decorating, and then an MLB, another video game tournament. So our friends over in aquatics, they had the Pumpkin Palooza with over 200 participants. They had the huge Beach City swim meet that you hear about at the aquatics subcommittee, over 800 swimmers, nearly 2,000 attendees. Dive-in movie in November with 22 participants, and then their 5th annual holiday hustle with 20 participants. That just gets all the swimmers in the competitive spirit and racing to spend as many hours as possible at the aquatic center and swim as many laps. So that is my quarterly update. If you guys have any questions, any follow-up, feedback, ideas, we are open to it.
Anyone?
What was the end result by your team about the transportation at Candy Cane Lane?
Oh,
Was
I
it
just had
successful?
that.
Was it, how'd that turn out?
Yeah, I haven't received the actual numbers, but the feedback that we received from just the staff there, as well as on social media, people we talked to, was rave reviews. I think it really did help even residents or people coming in to have an extra spot to park and get over there. I think there was positive feedback about the drivers, the decorations, the candy canes being passed out. It was just a really nice option. I don't know, I'm curious what the numbers will be to see if we add more days, if we we're lucky this was a short candy cane lane this year, but I think it's going to be much longer for the next few years. So I'm curious how that will go, but I don't know, Allie, did you receive other?
Yes, so I heard that there were over, 200 people riding it every night, and rave reviews on social media. I mean, just people really falling all over themselves about how great this was. I think the route was great, the drop-off and pickup spots were great. So it is expensive. However, we do use Prop A funding for this. So it's something we will definitely look at expanding next year, and maybe a little bit longer, because it sounds like Candy Cane Lane ends usually before Christmas, but it sounds like they're getting significant crowds on, through the actual holiday until the 26th or so. So we'll have to take a look at it. But all signs point to incredibly successful and very well received by the residents.
It's really hard to tell the impact at the site because it gets bigger every year,
Yes.
regardless of what you do, and
Right.
more houses decorate, and so I'm worried that it's going to take over that whole corner of town eventually, and they'll close off all those streets because
Right.
every year it's like half the block, now it's the full block, and it's a half a block here, and it's like, so it's great that it's happening there. Is there any other use that you would use the Prop A funds that like we're giving up because we're doing this?
Well, yes, so that's a long question, long answer, but yes, there are other programs. I mean, we have a lot of flexibility in how we use that, but it didn't impact or take away from anything else that we were doing. We're able to fit it all in.
Awesome.
Without losing anything at this point.
Very cool. Thanks.
I had something on it, since you live close there. I did think that the transportation, it did help. I was wondering how we are getting word out, because I had asked if we had tracked El Segundo residents versus non-residents that were using it, so that we can kind of know that we're doing a good job getting the word out of town for those people, instead of just people in town using it. And I don't think that portion was tracked, and I don't know how you got it out other than just on Facebook. It did seem to eliminate the traffic right there, around that, but traffic was still bad. You were talking about people coming after the holiday. This year, I noticed people were coming before, before it even started, the weekend before. So, and every night that week before Candy Cane Lane opened, it was crowded of people just going and seeing things. And so not only is it, the crowds are getting to be bigger, but the time frame is getting to be longer, you know? I didn't hear as many complaints as there were the past years, although, you know, I guess it kind of depends where it is that you're living, you know, and impacted. And like I had contacted you right away that there were no trash receptacles, you know, on Walnut, and, you know, and that was taken care of right away. You still have the people dumping their trash and doing all of that. And, you know, I don't know how we're ever going to solve that, but at least having a lot of trash cans out did help with the amount of trash that's left behind. But I mean, it literally, some nights will take to get from PCH down, you know, Walnut, right in that area, sometimes 30 minutes to travel 2 blocks. It's so backed up.
I was just gonna comment that I think the reason that the week before it opened was so busy was because it was the weird dates. The second Saturday of December was the 14th or whatever, 13th or whatever it was. And so everyone who came thought it was already open, and then, oh, we're already here, so we might as well. That's what it felt like to me. And I think that, I haven't looked at the calendar for this year, but hopefully that'll be corrected and it will be open. But all that means is it's longer, but at least it's open. So, because that was the first year that that's ever happened. That's never happened before. So anyway, that was.
I was gonna say, it was wall to wall on Christmas Eve, like, and everyone knew it was closed, and yet everyone was not.
Everyone had their lights on still?
They keep
Well, I mean,
their
that's-
lights on.
Yeah.
Turn it, I mean, if they,
I don't know which came first, the lights
Fair.
or the crowds,
Yeah.
but it was like it was a regular night, except no Santa.
interesting.
I had another comment about the report. How are you guys doing now in the Parks Department, and your administrative department with, employees? I mean, are you getting the positions filled? Are you guys staffed well? Because, I mean, you have so many programs that you're offering. How is staffing going?
I think it's better, particularly with aquatics. I mean, that's basically been handled, because we basically did a big pay increase and we were able to magically hire people, so that was great. I think we're doing pretty well in recreation as far as the part-timers. We do have, our full-time analyst position is still open, which is a significant impact to the department. It's all the financial budgets, contract management, so that's big. And then we also just lost our cultural arts coordinator, Randy. He accepted a position in Manhattan Beach, so that's a significant impact. But I think overall that we're moving, we're getting the support that we need from HR, and from the council certainly has been pushing on recruitments and making sure those positions are filled. So I think we're in a much better place than we have been.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that report. And that's a receive and file also?
Yes.
Okay, reports, Recreation Parks and Library Director.
Yeah, so I, included in your packet is my monthly report. I won't go through all of it, but I did want to just point out a couple of things. You already talked about Candy Cane Lane. I did want to mention that because I noticed it's not in our written report. However, I did want to talk about the playground replacement project at Rec Park. So if you recall, we're going to be applying for using Measure A funds. So we've submitted all of the application and draft resolution to the city attorney's office. So we're just waiting for review and feedback of that. Then I'll take it to the council because we basically have to ask for permission to apply for the funding. It's basically guaranteed. It's a per capita funding program. And then we'll do a couple of community meetings just to gauge feedback on what sort of elements the community would like to see. We'll still keep a younger kids and an older kids playground, but we'll see what's hot out there and what kids are really enjoying. So, but that's going to be moving forward. I already mentioned that the cultural arts coordinator has resigned, so that is going to be challenging for the next few months because I'm going to have to be taking on the ACC as well and developer projects and whatnot. There'll probably be a slowdown in programming, but that will definitely be something that impacts us in the department and that we'll need to manage. And then a couple of other things. We have a community cleanup day at the dog park coming up next Saturday from 9 to 12. So I think it's in the brochure, but some social media posts went out this afternoon. So from 9 to 12 a.m., community can come out. We'll provide all the supplies. We're looking at installing new message boards, raking, filling in some holes, doing some projects like that. So we're looking forward to that. And then we are also working on, as you know, we've done a department sort of storage assessment and reevaluation. So the drama program has been really responsive, and we've got them pretty much set up now in the upstairs sunroom, which has freed up the lower storage closet. So our staff are currently working on inventorying and then moving all of our supply items over there, which I think will be really, really helpful, just for us to get a better hold on that. And then I had on my updates to mention Candy Cane Lane. It was great. We had a follow-up meeting with the Turnbulls, and there was another family, Brunicants, maybe about a week and a half ago. So we got some feedback on that. Basically, their biggest thing was they want more police presence. But we also talked about, I asked the chief to look into more significant barriers, given what happened in New Orleans. I think we're all just kind of concerned that that's a huge group of people and a little sawhorse might not be enough. So he's looking into that and some other things just to make sure we're managing the security and the safety of everybody that's there first and foremost. So, and I'll keep you updated. That concludes my comments.
Go ahead, Julie.
I noticed with the barriers that were right there at Acacia and California, I know one day they were knocked over
Right.
and they weren't filled with water, and so I tipped them back up. So they can be filled with water. I don't know why they were not,
Right.
to make them heavier. But yes, I agree that, it needs to be looked at.
More secure, yeah. And the chief, to his credit, is also looking at doing something a little more significant for Farmers Market, for Halloween Frolic, for all the events that take place on Main Street. So he's already taken the initiative to start doing some research. It looks like there's some grant funding that might be available. They're very expensive, all these barriers and things that you think, oh, that's just a big jar of concrete, they're very expensive. So, but he is taking a look at that proactively.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. The Dial-A-Ride. I noticed this, and it kind of just stood out to me that there's more than twice as many concierge rides as the Lift Pass rides. And I think when we first started the program, the thought was that we'd have concierge for the holdouts, the seniors who just really didn't want to get a smartphone and do their own Lyft experience. But our thinking at the time, I believe, was that the younger generation of seniors, as they move in, are very smartphone literate, and that they would transition to that, and that the concierge piece of it would, over time,
Lessen.
become smaller. And it just seems like it's still more than twice as many. What are your thoughts?
I'll let Linnea speak on that.
I think people still like that person-to-person connection in being able to call a front desk and have a Joslyn Center staff answer and help them and assure them this is the vehicle to look out for and this is the driver. And so I think they're a little dependent, but it's also the connection with the staff that they still enjoy rather than just being on your smartphone. I mean, there's definitely seniors that do go on their smartphone and book it, but we do have older seniors that use the program, as well as some people who need more assistance. And so I think just the personable aspect is still really important to people.
So do you think long-term that will change? Like, is it truly the older generation that just does not want to kind of go to this, and then folks obviously who need extra help with maybe vision or something? Or do you think it's perpetuating because it's fun and the staff like it and people like them, and so, you know, what would you say the mix is? And what is the trend line? Is the trend line that we're gonna continue to have a 50% more, or more than double as concierge, or do you think that the younger generation will eventually sort of help themselves and feel more confident?
I think eventually, but it's going to take time. I mean, on a personal aspect, like my mom's in her early 60s and still calls me before she responds to a Facebook Messenger response, you know, like, it's just people aren't, when you aren't now, I mean, we've grown up with phones and we've grown up with technology, but people didn't have those their entire life. And so there's still that like trust level, and people are worried they're going to click on the wrong thing, or what is this charge? And so we're just not quite there yet to be fully vested in technology. And it's great to have it, and it's a great resource for people who are comfortable with it and very sufficient. But I would say it's probably going to be 10 more years or 20 more years till that's fully the way. But I think it's trending. I mean, I think the people who are newer to the senior population are more comfortable with it and get used to it and have apps, but we still have a lot of traditional seniors that attend the Joslin Center and use those services, and so we are there for them and happy to provide that service.
Good, okay. Thank you for that report. And now we're at Recreation and Park staff reports. Anyone?
I can go first. I mean, I talked a lot, but sorry for missing last month. I got really sick before it, so I apologize. I don't like to miss these meetings, but I am happy to be back, and we are ready for 2025, and we're already pre-planning for this summer and lots of moving pieces, so we are hitting the ground running. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Christopher?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Just a couple of updates. We have our ball field renovations in gear right now at Brettfield and Stevenson, and then we'll be working on the infields as well. Another update is at the dog park, some preventative measures have been installed at the slope damage areas. Some sandbagging and some tarping has taken place. And fortunately, we haven't had any rain yet so far this year, so we'll see how that holds up. And I'll take any questions. Right, we could use the rain.
Can I add in on that? So we are working with FEMA to get some funding to do more permanent stabilization of the slope. So we've had multiple calls, we've submitted documentation, Christopher and his team have helped. So we're hopeful, but yes, exactly.
Okay, anyone? Go ahead.
So I'm looking, we've been having this report that all the facilities that are being checked out, you know, as you inspect every month or
yes.
whatever. I'm just curious, because I don't see that.
Oh, okay. The park matrix, the park inspection matrix. Yes, so Christopher and his team are gonna be updating that every month. It's new, getting them used to the Excel and some of the technology, but they have added in the new parks, and they'll be going out every month during the first week of the month, so that you guys have the information by the time the commission meeting happens. Sometimes there'll be no updates or change, but But they will be going out every month.
Okay, because we had them for like 3 months.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool, thanks.
Christopher, I love that dethatching the baseball fields and all the fields, and I know that's coming, and it's time. It's been time. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, sounds like you have something else.
Oh, no, I was asking her, what does that mean, dethatch?
I was explaining the whole.
Yes.
Well, it's not just the holes. You're pulling up the old grass underneath so the grass can breathe.
Got it,
So,
yes.
it's been a long time.
Oh, good, okay, great.
So, again, thank you. Overdue.
Oh, I do have one more comment, I'm sorry.
You're done. You're done. We can't go
Sorry.
backwards.
Sorry. Some of you may have noticed that one of the trees at Library Park, the Christmas tree, 95 years old. It has, our tree arborist has determined that it is dead and unsafe to remain in the park. So I have submitted a memo to the city manager at the request of at the recommendation of the arborist that it be removed. We will do some sort of notification to the community. I'm still waiting for final approval from the city manager's office. We will do some sort of public, announcement, and we would also consider doing some little commemorative activity, saving parts of the tree for something. We're not just gonna cut it down and haul it away. Christopher, will we replace?
Yes, we're going to replace
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I'm wondering if we can get donors, everybody who complains that it's coming down. We could then.
I can't keep asking people for money for everything. Build me a pool, pay for my program.
So I love
Yes.
trees.
Yes,
I love trees,
I love them,
but trees have lifespans.
right.
This is normal. This is
95
okay.
years old.
This is great that it lasted 95. My recommendation is you send out that message the day after it comes down. Otherwise, you'll have people chaining themselves to that tree unnecessarily because it's actually danger to people walking by. It needs to come down. If the arborist says that, it's for safety.
Right.
So the emotional reaction to loving trees, I get it, but it's the natural course of events. And so I appreciate that you're gonna send out that message, but I'm not so sure.
Well, we might do it the day of. You may notice
Yeah.
today that the tree is being removed, so, yeah. But we will do something with the tree trunk or pieces of the tree. We've been talking about what do we want to do, perhaps putting some of the stump over at the dog park and creating platforms or seating, or asking the high school, do they want a piece of it? Maybe making a sculpture. We have talked about different things.
And I'm not kidding about the chaining. That happened
I
with
heard.
Richard in front of Richmond Street School.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we had people chain themselves. to the
Yes,
tree.
but I did want to notify you all in case you get questions in the community. There's a concern that, yes, it could be unsafe.
No, I know.
That's not what I was saying, I was saying I'm expecting blowback.
Yes.
You're actually going, oh, no.
We often have blowback in this department, and we just march on.
I have one more question. During the wind event, on the 6th, how did we fare in the trees? Anything that we need to know about?
We did fantastic.
Okay.
I
That's,
thi-
I
think
I
maybe
did
one or
drive
two-
through and around, and I didn't see anything, and,
Yeah, it was like one or two limbs at the most,
Yeah.
okay.
at the most.
Was there not a tree down, because I saw a tree down on the Imperial Greenbelt, kind of near Loma Vista. It looked like that there was a tree down over there.
Right, yeah. A limb came down on that, and it required us to take the whole tree down as well.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. And then I wanted to comment on the Christmas tree as well. I was going to bring that up, because I noticed the white X on the tree last week and sent an email about that, wondering, is that X for removal, or is that X because somebody graffitied the tree? So Ally and Christopher got right back to me. And I told her about, somebody chaining themselves to the ficus trees out front here, and that there is going to be, blowback on that, I mean, it's the community tree. I mean, it's even on the original blueprint of Library Park, that the city Christmas tree is there. But yes, they do reach their life. And I was actually standing in the park looking at it yesterday, and, it's an awfully big tree, and I had suggested to Ally that we need to do something with it, just like the high school did when the giant stone pine came down in front of the high school, and they carved the eagle out of that. That was sat in the Hall of Fame for many years, and now it's outside of the cafeteria. But we can't just cut down the tree and make mulch out of it. We need to do something significant with that tree, and then also not replacing it with a 36-inch box or a 48-inch box. We need to put a significant tree back in there so that we're not waiting for, 40 years for another big tree to grow. And I understand a lot of times that we do replace them with the smaller trees, and some of them do grow quickly, but I don't know how quickly the pines grow. And so I think it needs to be something that's addressed before we just jump on it and not do the right thing.
I think we'll continue to weigh the safety and the immediacy. I did send the memo into the city manager yesterday, so I'm expecting to get some feedback.
Okay. Thank you. Reports from commissioners. Commissioner Lubes, Dave. Commissioner Smolak, Julie.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on the community Christmas Eve dinner or luncheon, whatever we're referring to it now. It was a great turnout. We had a great turnout of residents that were there, also delivering the meals to, they went to 10 deliveries went out, which was significantly less than what it was last year. And then this year we had, because we had actually 65 that attended, and then the 10 meals that were delivered. And we had 36 volunteers.
Wonderful.
So we really had a great turnout of volunteers that came from the community, came from NCL, came from the Rotary Club. And so there were plenty of people to help. We had the games, prizes, and it seemed like everybody enjoyed it. The food was very good. So that was the 41st year. It's a great event, and I think people, look forward to it.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chairperson Watson, Kelly.
I just wanted to comment and thank you for great communication about the closures during the fires at the different facilities. It should have gone without saying, but, it was nice to get a note saying, don't go to the pool today. It just would also be great to get a note that it's back open, when it opens up again, because it was like,
Yes.
I don't want to bother staff, I don't want to,
That's good-
but
good
at the
feedback.
same point, it was like, it's great, it's closed now, tell me it's open.
That's actually good.
But I did
feedback.
think it was fabulous communication, I saw it all over the place, so.
Good feedback. Thank you.
Okay, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
Let's get going.
Let's get going.
With that, we'll adjourn to our next regular scheduled meeting.
There we go. Gavel? Yes, the coffee chat's Tuesday at 1 at the Joslin.